Hello, welcome back to After Reality. I'm your host, Courtney Robertson. Thanks for stopping by. So, I'm here on camera. This is new for me. I am so excited about today's episode. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast? Don't know where to start? I am sitting down with my friend Martin Flores, who helped me. He is the owner of Amplify Studio, and he's going to break it down. If you want to change careers, if you want to elevate your game in 2025, it's all in this episode for you. Where do you start? Also, we're going to hear his backstory. We have a really nice connection, and I think that you're going to be inspired by this whole conversation. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to After Reality. I'm your host, Courtney Robertson. How's everybody doing on this fine Wednesday? I'm doing pretty good. I put makeup on today. I did my hair. I even put my weave in, and I'm on video. Look, Mom, I'm on camera. I am so thrilled. I really want to start doing video this year. It's a little nerve-wracking. I have a little bit of anxiety about it, just putting yourself out there. Normally when I podcast, I am in my sweatpants, in my man cave. If you saw it, it's not pretty, but I really want to take the podcast to the next level this year. So when I started the podcast, I didn't know my ass from my elbow. Obviously, Game of Roses, they're my producers. They helped me. They sent me a mic. But learning GarageBand and the right mic, I didn't have a mutter for a while, the popping and the sound. So thank you all for tuning in and sticking with me. And today I am thrilled to have my friend Martin Flores from Amplify Podcast Studio, who helped me get set up at home. I went on Yelp. I knew this was 2 years ago, and I was like, I know I need help on the technical side of things. And I read I'm a big fan of Yelp, by the way. I read all the reviews from Martin's podcast studio. At the time, there weren't that many in Arizona, and I reached out to him. He called me instantly. I was so impressed, and he came over to my house. He got me set up, and so he's going to help me with video, etc. So I want to introduce Martin.
Oh.
Hi.
Hey, Courtney. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and thank you. I just want to thank you on the top here for helping me along the way.
Yeah, I still remember that call, that conversation.
Wasn't it kind of weird? What did you think of it?
I was like, Courtney Robertson, why does that name sound familiar? And then I always do with everybody, right? Do a little research to see if they already have
Smart.
branding, what are they currently doing to see how I can help them and improve. But then obviously the whole Bachelor came up, and I was like, oh, that's where I've heard that name before. And then you only lived like 5 minutes from the studio too.
Yes.
At that time, the old studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, that's what I think how I found you, because I was like, something close to home. But all the reviews were great. And then I met you, and you were so just knowledgeable, and it just set me at ease. And I'm sure you've helped so many people get going and get started. So I thought today we could, podcasting is a huge business. And I wanted to hear a little bit about your backstory and then what you offer people, because I get asked constantly. I get reached out to, like, I want to start a podcast, and I refer everybody to you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the bandwidth. You're a dad, I'm a mom, and you've also been like, all last minute, like, you've helped me edit episodes, and I'm like, can you help me with this? And you're like, my kids are sick, but yes. And you always get it done. So thanks for going above and beyond for me.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted to hear a little bit about how did you get started? When did you get started? And what drove you?
It's funny because when I first became an entrepreneur, so I started my career working for the Phoenix Suns, actually. And I started working for them doing their in-game entertainment, video editing, like all the Jumbotron videos and graphics around the LEDs. Like I was one of other team members that did all that for all the in-game entertainment stuff.
That is so cool. Did you do that while you were there? Like, did you go to the games?
Yeah, we got a lot of free tickets. So it was
lucky.
It's my dream team. I love the Suns since I was a kid. And so to me, that was like the dream job, working for a professional NBA team, right? And it's funny because that was my first official like professional job fresh out of college. Wow. So like to me, I was like, man, I feel blessed right now to be able to just jump in right away to a professional team. And it was great, first couple years. The first year that we were there, it was when we went all the way to the finals with Nash, Amari, Richardson, all those, Jared Dudley, like all those guys, right? And it was great to see because it was like my first year there as a rookie in this new position, right? And we make it all the way to the finals. And rest in peace, Kobe. He killed us in the finals.
No.
But that was what was great is like getting to be able to see all these great, amazing athletes like Derrick Rose. He just retired like this year or last year, right? Going through his injury. So seeing him in person in his younger years, just killing it against the Suns. And then obviously like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, like being able to see all these stars in person. And I actually got to experience a courtside game as well. And I took my dad and we had a blast.
I've never done that.
It's amazing.
I've heard you can like smell the sweat.
Practically, you probably get a few drops on your skin. You know what I mean, when they're coming down from the rack. But
that's like a core memory, like to be able to take your dad to something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And I ended up winning it through like a raffle. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me you have some luck. Do you believe in luck? Some people don't.
That's an interesting story in itself. And I felt like that was totally God. I'm a big believer. So
yeah.
I felt like that was a blessing from him because it was just
guy from the sky.
It's funny because I was new to the faith, hear about fasting and I'm like, what is this whole fasting? There's a power behind fasting and something from a spiritual standpoint. And I just like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. I started fasting like a group fasting with my church at the time. And I remember just being so hungry that week. But at the end of the day, like I felt like every little like sense was just so heightened, like from like the popcorn smell coming from the basement of the Sun Stadium, going all the way up to the elevator. I could smell all the popcorn, the concession food and all that, right? But I remember like it was my second year there, second year there. We all get called to go to this like Cold Stone ice cream, free Cold Stone ice cream because they were one of our sponsors. But I'm not eating anything, right? All I'm drinking is water for 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I think like God saw my heart in it because I was trying. And I remember, this is where it gets crazy, is I remember going down because it was courtside, like the whole raffle thing and stuff like that. And I remember just kind of like walking away from everybody and just to myself, I go down to like the actual court and I'm looking around. I'm like, man, this is massive. And I just remember saying to myself, one of these days I'm going to come to a game. Oh. I didn't even openly say that. I just said this internally, right? I go back to my desk, email goes out to all the winners because I put my name in there. Me not thinking anything. I saw my name. Like, I won. I'm like, what did I win? And I look over and it says courtside seats. No. I'm like, no stinking way. It was so crazy because at that moment I felt like, Lord, you're real?
That's an aha moment.
Like an aha moment, right? And the first person I thought of was like, I got to take my dad.
Oh my gosh.
I got to take my dad because this is something that me and him could share, bond with. And we had a blast that night. He was like, I remember his face because we go down there and they give you food, like free food, free drinks, limited drinks. VIP, yeah.
Who doesn't like a little VIP?
Right.
But you work so hard.
Yeah. So it was also great because my dad got to see what I work on, like on the LED boards and the videos and stuff like that in person. So it was great for him to kind of see that. But yeah.
Did they win? Go Suns. I'm a big Suns fan.
I think we lost that game.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's okay though. We still had a blast. We were literally sitting right next to the bench, the Suns bench. Yeah.
Now I want to go. It's
fun. I highly recommend it.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
That's really, I wanted to hear how you got started, and man, that's touching.
Yeah.
Is your dad still with us?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, good. So
well, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I would love to experience something like that with my dad. So what inspired you to start the podcast space? So you were there. How long did you work there?
So in 2016, my passion started dwindling down. And I was kind of like, what's going to be the next move? Because there was a lot of internal changes happening within the organization. I think they could see that I wasn't passionate about being there. So they actually let me go. And not a lot of people know that, but they actually let me go. Um,
Ugh.
and I remember a friend of mine, shout out Larry Riddick, he said,
Larry.
when are, when are you going to start your own thing? Because I was already like through my church, like making networking and doing little side gigs here and there on video. But he challenged me. He's like, when are you going to start your own thing? And so that really like resonated with me. And I was like, you're right. Why don't I start something? And it's funny because I literally only had $1,200 to my name. I remember even investing in like this big time guy named Ray Roman. He was actually coming into town and teaching a workshop on how to shoot wedding videos.
Oh, wow.
And he's like one of the top wedding videographers like in the world.
And that's a big business, but that's like totally different from this space.
Yeah. So I ended up spending like $400 for a day workshop with him. Just learning more pointers on how to be better about following the light and whatever when you're shooting, and it can get stressful with weddings because you only have one chance to capture the moment, right? But that's how I started. So like when my friend Larry challenged me on it, I'm like, we're doing it. I'm starting the business. Ended up starting the production company in 2016.
And that was like podcasting. Was that really big back then?
It wasn't. It wasn't.
How did you have that insight to?
So I think it was around close to COVID, right? Like in 2020 when COVID was not even happening just yet, but you're hearing the rumors like, oh, all this is going on overseas. And then everything gets shut down, right? And so I think that gave people a lot of time to just think and be by themselves and figure out like, do I really like my job? Do I really like what I'm doing? But
That's kind of how I started the podcast.
yeah. But at that time, like when you thought of podcasts, it was strictly like audio.
Yeah.
And so
You're right.
Yeah, it was just like when you thought of podcasting, you would only think of audio for some reason, never video. And I remember thinking to myself, why don't I bring video to podcasting? And I'm doing a little bit of research in Phoenix, and there's not a lot of podcast studios. So I'm like,
If any.
and at this time I had a lot of experience shooting video, and at that time I had partnered with a guy because he was more in the audio realm of mastering and musician artist and all that. So I'm like, this is a great combo. You can just focus on the audio and I can focus on video, and let's see where it goes.
Teamwork, I always say, makes the dream work. That's why I reached out to you. I was like, I know my strengths, but technical, the cameras, this is my first time doing my podcast on camera. I'm like,
But I just, at that time, I was struggling with where do I want to belong in the industry? Because you can go in so many different avenues. You can do corporate videos. You can do videos for salespeople. You can do wedding videos. You can do bar mitzvah videos, quinceañera videos. Or I was doing a lot of post-production. So I was like, or I could just focus on creating motion graphics, like animations for people. And around that time in 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to niche down on podcasting. And when I did, because I had a feeling like the whole video podcasting was going to blow up.
okay.
Because I just
Nice
saw.
you had that insight, because I don't think a lot of people did.
Like when I started that old company, there was not a lot of podcast studios out here. And I felt like I kind of set the standard in a way out here. Because the people that were then coming to shoot their podcasts, they were like, whoa, like I'm paying so much money in Scottsdale and the quality is not even half what you have here. You know what I mean? Like I was getting compliments like that. And then we were just such a small space because I was renting out space from a current client of mine, which I think you saw the space.
Yes, I think so. I think it's
briefly.
been, gosh, it's been a while.
In a while, yeah.
Where does the time go?
I know. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling, but
No, you're
feel
not.
like,
No, I appreciate you sharing the story. I wanted to hear your backstory. I mean, I always like things to be an equal exchange, but like when I started, it was hard because I'd be like texting you, like, can you help me edit this?
Yeah.
And, my settings got screwed up. So it's really nice for me to sit down with you and just connect with you and hear your backstory. And I think part of my show After Reality is I love to talk about success stories, and I love to highlight people that go for it and want to make a change, because there's so many people unhappy with their jobs.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to start something new, let alone when you have a family.
Right.
And, you're not sure if it's going to work. I mean, it takes a lot of courage. So I commend you. And
Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your backstory. And you're married and you have what, 2 girls?
1 boy, 1 girl.
I'm sorry, 1 boy, 1 girl.
Yeah.
We'll edit that out, right? Maybe no.
No, you're fine.
We're fine.
Yeah.
How old are your kids?
My oldest, he'll be 8 this year, Martin. And then my youngest, Ava, she'll be 5 this year in April. Yeah.
So they're potty trained, but you get it when I'm like, oh, I'm in the trenches. Everybody's sick.
Tough. Nobody warns you. I mean, they warn you, but you don't realize how hard it is until you're actually in it. Being a parent, team working with your spouse to make it happen. You know what I mean?
I hate co-parenting. What is it? Just parenting styles.
Just parenting. Yep.
Parenting styles.
Yep.
I'm in the trenches. And I remember we were doing something and you were like, oh, my daughter's sick. And I totally get it. But to start this on your own.
Yeah.
And to be going through all of life's challenges, it just goes to show you that you can do anything. It's never too late to make a change.
Right. It's never too late as long as you have the drive for it and know your why.
Yeah.
Then
what is your why? I would love to hear your why.
My why do this?
Why?
I really want to
your
leave,
why?
My why. I really just want to leave a legacy for my kids. Like just something, I saw my parents work so hard and now their kids are working hard to get to where they need to go. And I just want to be able to give my kids like a head start. You know what I mean?
I've got goosebumps. Yeah.
Like I want to get to the point where it's like, you're good. You don't need to work yet. It's there if you want to work. I will still push them to work because I think that's so valuable. But
really
I at least want to be able to have that cushion for them to be like, look, you want to focus on your studies right now? We can do it. I'll take care of it. You know what I mean? Like, at least just give them that head start to be where I had to work so hard to get to, but at least they can get there faster and now build for their families. You know what I mean?
So, that's really, I'm still working on my why. To be honest with you, I'm still finding my why. I mean, I know it, don't get me wrong, but that's inspiring.
Yeah.
That's a really good why.
I really just want to also just give my wife the option if she wants to work or not.
Oh, there you have it. There you have it.
Yeah.
I know. I always talk about financial freedom and like, obviously I'm monetizing the podcast, but that's not the driving force. I'm passionate about it. I love connecting with people. Yeah. Part of the reason I started it, not to make it all about me, but is because when I had a newborn at home, I was like not interacting with adults. Yeah. Their days would go by. I'm sure your wife could understand this, where you're like, I'm watching Sesame Street and all day. And like, so I started listening to podcasts just to get entertainment while my kids taking care of the kids. And then I was like, I think I could do this. And there would be a podcast that I listened to that would really inspire me or make me laugh. And is there any of that as well? Have you been a fan of podcasts? Is there anything that you love listening to that inspired you?
I really love podcasts where they talk about like history, religion, learning about the different, how that's tied in, knowledgeable stuff, but also some entertainment, some comedians. I got introduced to just recently this podcast with Rick Glassman. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No, send it to me. I always need something new. And I'm trying with the new year, Happy New Year. Yeah. I'm really trying to, it's so easy to get on like autopilot. And I'm like, these are the shows that show up every day. And I'm like, I'm searching for a little more, like a little bit more meaning, a little something that's and it's not just the new year. It's just a pattern of, I'm like, I can't listen to pop culture. I cover a lot of pop culture. So if you have anything, I would love to hear.
Yeah, I'll listen to podcasts about branding, about marketing, about underdogs that, started with nothing and they build something great. You know what I mean? How it was built. That's another great podcast. They really cover like people that literally started from nothing and see how they developed what they now have multi-million-dollar companies. You know what I mean?
Isn't it wild?
It's wild.
When people get acquired, and I mean, there is a lot of money to be made in it, but it's not always about the money. It's like if you're passionate about it, I am a firm believer that the money will come.
The money will come. I think
even if you have to rob Peter to pay Paul sometimes, I'm like sweating sometimes. Like, just got to get to my payday.
Not a lot of good people have money. And I think it's time for the good people to have money, because when the good people have the money, then they will change their neighborhoods, their cities, their
community,
towns, the country, all that. And so I think we're seeing a shift where the first that were last are now going to be, or the last that were last are now going to be first. And so I really see a shift of like financial freedom for a lot of those people that want to change the world, that want to do things for the better.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. So that's what I think you and I like. Yeah, we're probably not there where we really want to be at,
right,
but we know what we will do when we actually do get there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be for the greater good,
Pay it forward. You got to. And I love networking, and I love, like I said, anyone who wants to start a podcast. And also just to say that you can help people virtually now.
Yes. So like I've helped a couple people that are from out of state, where I just use tools like StreamYard or Riverside. Like, for example, if you were to come in and say, I have a guest in California, can we do something? Yes, we'll set up.
I have a pretty big reality star who wants to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm texting you, and you're like right back at me. And I'm like, can you help somebody in California?
Yes, definitely. And so,
how do you have the bandwidth?
So I'm learning this year from being a business owner for so long. It's like, you can't be in your business. You have to actually be a business owner and operate it from the outside. Not necessarily on the outside, but not be so in it, right? So like, I can't be editing as much as I used to. I have to delegate that now, because then that becomes a bottleneck. Like stuff like where you sent me, I've done it for so long that it's just so quick for me to do. You know what I mean?
That would take me forever.
So it's just like,
I had my dad on recently, and he was like tapping his glasses on the table and putting them up. And I'm like sitting here interviewing him. I'm like, but you don't want to interrupt the flow.
Interrupt the flow, right?
Look at you go.
Yeah. So now it's like, just delegate a lot of this work and just be more of like a project manager, director, making sure that all the clients are taken care of. And obviously that's what I love to do, that I'm realizing is I love to like stumble upon somebody that wants to start something and then help them build it the right way. So like the foundation is built. So then that way they can just keep doing it with no hiccups. And if there are hiccups, then it's like, okay, what can we change together so I can help you with a better automation or whatever that may be for your podcast or your show.
You've got a lot of patience, Martin.
Everybody tells me that. I feel like I don't, but they tell me that I do. I think I'm starting to believe it.
You really do. You're a patient man. Well, it's not for everybody to sit down and like sit at a desk and edit. But I love delegating stuff. I'm a big fan. When I wrote my book, do it, delegate it, or delete it. And I know my strengths, and if I can delegate something or just delete it altogether, I'm working on saying no to more things. I have this mentality of like, just say yes,
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, my cup is empty. I got to fill my cup up.
Yes.
So I would love to, since it's such a saturated market, podcasting now, I would love if you could give anyone out there listening, if you want to start a podcast, what advice would you give somebody who's thinking about starting a podcast?
That's the big question right now, right? Is it even worth it to start a podcast in 2025?
Right.
And I tell them yes. And they'll say why. And the reason is because there's not a lot of people that are like you. And so you will attract a certain crowd that prefer to listen to you over the other one. Even if you might be doing the same thing as other people, you'll never know like when you discover your voice and you know who you are and what you represent, like people rock with that. And they'll be like, I'd rather be listening to you because something about you I love to hear because I feel like I'm actually learning something.
Mm.
And so I think that's why with the new business I named it Amplify, because not a lot of people are too scared to kind of let their voice be heard. And so I like to give people a voice, to give them the confidence and the encouragement that they can do it and build their brands and so like that. But I'd say if you have a business, you have a product, you have a service, podcasting is a great way to just connect with your audience in such an organic way.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel like podcasting is the only thing that AI cannot touch.
Really?
Because AI cannot duplicate authentic, real conversations. It's got the tools to help you build your podcast, but what we're doing right here, right now, like AI cannot touch at all.
That was my next question is how do you think AI is going to affect the podcast industry?
I mean, I'm already using AI right now to help me.
Me too.
To help me speed up my editing, to speed up chopping up clips, at least getting me to a place where the slow process of having to look through an entire episode again and find what the good clips are, I use AI to help me with that. And I'll look at those AIs. Are they great? And sometimes they're not, but sometimes it's enough to give me enough to start with, where I'll just kind of tweak a few things here and there. And so another great tool that I love to use, if not a lot of people are using, is Opus.pro. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
So Opus.
That's why I have you, Martin.
So Opus is a great where you could just literally upload an entire episode and it'll chop up reels for you. Like it'll give you like 10 to 15 reels per episode. Sometimes it does a great job. You can tell the prompt of what type of things you're looking for. So like if there's something in the conversation that you liked, you can tell it like, hey, look out for this type of conversation, and it'll find it for you. But then
and you can help clients do that for them, because I mean there's so much that goes into it. Like, so yes, you record an episode, then there's editing.
Yeah.
When I started, someone told me the best thing is you need good quality and you need to be consistent. And I've just tried to be like, learn as much as I can and go on YouTube, and there's so much knowledge out there, but there's sometimes you need an expert. Like I try to promote my podcast and there's times where my kids are sick or I haven't slept, and then it's just enough for me to get it put out and come up with the caption, which AI has helped me, but it is a little like I have to go in and like put my own sparkle on it. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what you were talking about. Like this, like you can't recreate that human, interaction. Yeah. Or I love that you said, nobody's you. Like, that's, I mean, that's brilliant. But like the selling of the promotion of it, I mean, it's work. I don't love social media, but I know it's a part of today's society. I don't TikTok, but you need to promote it and do a reel. So you can help me even if I want to start doing video, and because I have to. I mean, would you say we've talked about it?
At this point, you have to. Like, if you want to survive,
I feel like I'm in a therapy. I'm like,
if you want to survive, if you want to build something worth longevity, you have to kind of keep up with the times.
What if you don't want to be on camera? What if you want to be
You can still monetize without using your face, right? But
Right.
how are people going to connect with you? I think people are so used to seeing
this whole thing?
this.
I know. I
You're
just
so hard on
joke.
yourself.
I know. It's just like, I mean, I put my hair and makeup, but you're right. And
We literally just saw a whole table of women downstairs when she walked in the building, and then everybody got quiet.
I was like, am I in a conference room? I was like, I get a little nervous and like corporate. It's not corporate. This is a very cool building, but they were having a team meeting. Yeah. And I was like, is this the lobby? And they were like, hey. They were like,
No, video is very important. It's just such a great tool to connect with your audience from a visual standpoint. I think everybody is so...
And that's why I started this. And I have to remember to connect with people and to, if I could give that to a new mom or whoever and share stories like this, to me, that like feeds my soul.
It is still, you can still build a brand off of, because I have a client, they're an adoption podcast, but their show is so niche,
Yeah.
and adoption is so huge. And I never would have known how big and crazy the whole adoption process is.
I've heard even surrogacy.
Yes.
And that, I have friends that have gone through it, and you have to adopt your baby from your surrogate.
Yeah.
Like the laws and the legality, it's
Not just
wild.
people are adopting eggs.
What?
The craziest story I heard from my client's podcast is
I have heard this.
There was a couple that adopted 2 embryos from a woman, right? But she froze her eggs from like, one egg was frozen in like 1997, and then another one was frozen in like 2000 something, right?
I didn't even know they had that back then.
Right. And they brought both eggs into the embryo. She had twins, but they're from different parents. These eggs are from different parents. So the woman that was going to adopt the kids, she had them inserted in her, and she gave birth to twins, but from different parents. What? It's crazy.
That's like a movie.
This is something from a sci-fi movie.
Yes, there is a show that actually that happened. That is. Well, good for, I'm just so glad it worked out for her, because I have a lot of friends in early 30s that have gone through infertility, and it's, it's really heartbreaking to see your friends and, or somebody lose a baby far along. I've witnessed it. I had a friend who had a surrogate, and she actually had 10 embryos, but they were like one and done. And I believe she told me she's going to adopt them out. And it's not for money. It's just and I was like, are you sure? Like, her husband was a little, but the thing about it is like someday you could have potentially people show up at your door.
Yeah.
And she was fine with it. She's like, I want to help people.
Yeah.
But she told me that you get to like choose who, like, it's like an adoption.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Martin, I know I wanted to ask you about your clients, and real quick before I forget, are you an Arizona native?
I am. I'm a rare breed.
Me too.
Are you really?
Yeah, my mom was an Arizona native. She
where?
never left. She went to Camelback High School.
Okay.
But I grew up in Arcadia Lights, as my dad said. He was like, we lived kind of near Fashion Square Mall, like Exeter and 68th Street. Mm-hmm. And I was like just right at the cutoff to go to Arcadia and Hopi. Yeah. So my dad always says we were on the poor side of Arcadia. I grew up with a lot of really wealthy kids, but I never let that slow me down.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from a small town south from Tucson, Nogales.
Nogales?
Border town.
I've been to Nogales.
Have you? Yeah, it's a very small town.
Oh my goodness.
So.
Is your family still there?
Yeah, I would love for them to move up to Phoenix, down to Phoenix.
Let's get it popping.
But the family's stuck in their old ways.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know how that can be. Sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah,
but
it's really rare to find other Arizona natives. Actually, like if you meet new people and you're like, "Oh, where are you from?" Majority of the time, they'll tell you they're from Florida. My wife's
Milwaukee.
from New York.
Oh, she is.
From the Bronx, yeah.
I wanted to ask you how you met your wife. So I have a lot of, if you want to share, but I went on The Bachelor, and I'm a hopeless romantic, truly. Like, I really went in for the right reasons. Or did I? No, I'm just kidding. And I mean, I was with him for a year, but that's another story. But I have a lot of listeners, and I talk to a lot of people these days. It's really hard to meet people, especially with dating apps and this and that. So I'd love to hear the story about how you...
It's not hard to meet people. It's just patience.
Well, you have it.
It's just patience.
How did you meet your wife?
So originally we met through church. And when I first saw her, I was like, this woman is too hot for me. Straight up, I said that. I was like, this woman is too hot for me. So I didn't even think of it. But we built like a friendship over the years. I started kind of showing a little bit of interest in her. But not so much because, again, she's way too hot for me.
The lies we tell ourselves.
Right. And so we started hanging out more because I needed an accountability partner with working out. And I knew she was working out a lot. And I'm like, my struggle is eating, as you can tell.
Oh, please.
And so
It's January. Come on. I'm like, I'm so glad this is like from the waist up. I'll be your accountability partner.
I know, right? Are you eating right, Courtney?
I walked in here today and I was like, it smells like popcorn. I just want to, I want popcorn. Oh, so that is, so she was your accountability. How did she keep you accountable? Because I think this time of year we can all use an accountability partner.
We started at that time. We're like, okay, we're gonna get on the paleo diet. And
I know the paleo diet.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I lived in LA for a long time when I was modeling, and I remember I was on a commercial set for Cadillac, and the guy was like ripped, and I was like, he like brought meat with him, and I'm like, so tell me more about the paleo diet, and he's like, it's paleo, Courtney. And this is like meat and like saturated fats, right? Mm-hmm. Like eggs. And
all I just remember is that I could not eat rice, and that was heartbreaking to me. But I got or bread
to me.
Or bread, right?
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, it was tough, but after 3 weeks, it's true. You do it for at least 3 weeks, it becomes routine, it becomes a habit. But that's how she was holding me accountable, because we were like in the group and there was others in there. Then I started, because I was still working at the Suns at that time. So I actually started, like after work, started running around the arena, like on the
when
on
it
the
was
second
empty.
floor. Yeah,
that's really. I wish I had video of that.
it was dope. I'm not gonna lie, it was dope.
I mean, that's yeah.
So I
Did
started.
you listen to music?
Yeah.
What's your go-to pump up song?
Anything 80s. It's so weird. I love the 80s.
Me too. Well, I'm a child of the 80s.
I mean, I'm 88, but
Oh, you're younger than me.
yeah.
I'm 83.
Okay.
But I get the Charles Barkley, the Kevin Johnson era. I'm a avid Suns
Yeah.
fan. So I see you.
Yeah. So anything 80s just pumps me up for some reason.
Pump up the jam.
Right.
Did you ever go to the skating rinks here growing up? No.
No. But the Suns, when like Disney on Ice would come into town, they would change the entire arena to be ice. It would get super cold in there.
Were you running in that at the time?
No. Oh, sometimes, yeah. When Disney on Ice was setting up, I'd just be running after work on the upper arena floor, just around. It was the length of a football field. Like one lap was like equivalent to like a football.
I would love to do that just for shits and gigs.
Right. It was fun.
Part of my French. Oh, goodness. So what I'm hearing is you have dogged persistence. So you were accountable with your wife, and then how did it turn?
So when
Did you make a move?
So it was funny because I was completely clueless, and I think she was starting to fall for me because we were spending so much time together. I just looked at it as us being friends, right? We were running once because I started a running group, and we would run at Tempe Lake.
Beautiful.
And yes, it was great. So we would run like 3 miles. She joined us, and there was a guy that showed up that I knew was interested in her. Super ripped, fit guy.
Did you push him into the lake?
No, but I outran him just to show like I'm faster.
This is like a romantic comedy.
Well, he's like your typical guy, like tall, dark, and handsome, and
Martin,
ripped and all that.
Cut yourself too short.
And but I remember my Saran, that's her name, Saran, calling me, and she's like, "Hey, I noticed that you were off today. What's wrong? Everything all right?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm probably just tired and."
I just outran that guy. Just left him in the dust.
Right. And she kind of like confessed that night, like that I'm into you, and I was like, "What?"
Say what?
And so we started talking after that, more as friends, and then eventually it ended up becoming a relationship. And then after a year, I just proposed, because I already knew that I was going to marry her. Yeah. There's a lot of backstory on that.
Of course.
That gets so like.
But that's inspiring to people like, met through church. I always, you help with Papa Robertson. Like, how do you meet people at any age?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is, you outran somebody. I'm sure, like you said, there's so much more to it, but you had a lot in common.
That's the thing. We were kind of opposites.
Well, I think opposites attract, right?
Yeah, they do. And she's older than me too. She's 45. I'm 30. I'll be 37. and but she looks younger than me. Black don't crack. Just be real. Black don't crack.
Neither does my husband. And, he's Latino.
Latino.
He's half Mexican. And I look
There's
at
some
him.
Latinos that are lucky and some that just age so fast.
So fast.
Yeah.
He looks so good. And I'm like, it's like annoying. He's like, Courtney, all I use is Pond's. And I'm like, I'm at night and they're like my lotions and my scrubs and my potions. And his skin is like, and he's older than me.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's inspiring to people. And you've got a beautiful family, a strong work ethic. You can't cut corners on your way to the top. So
No, I'd say to anybody, like, use the opportunity to just work on yourself when you're not in a relationship.
Yes.
Because once you do get in a relationship,
you're in it.
You're in it. And the term being completely unselfish is you have to do that daily.
Yeah.
For your partner.
Yes. And then you have kids.
And then you have kids, and that's a whole nother thing.
And then your heart just explodes. And it's the best job hardest job I've ever had. It's so cliche, but it's so true. So I'm going to do a little rapid question with you if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I want to start implementing that, especially with video. I'm really excited to do more video, even though I feel vulnerable. But my last question for you is, what's been the most rewarding part of running your podcast studio?
Man, I love what Proverbs says is seek lady wisdom, right? Seek wisdom above everything because wisdom eventually leads to increase in finances and all that. But that's what's been amazing is through every podcast session that I have recorded, it's been some type of high end, like either they're a billionaire, a millionaire, or a professional athlete. That's how I met Steve Nash, one of my favorite.
Steve Nash?
Did you get?
What do you do in that? Do you ask for his autograph?
I wish I did, but I didn't want to be that.
Did you get a selfie?
I did not want to be that guy.
No. Well, that's really good of you.
Yeah, I did not want to be that person.
But now you're like, I kind of wish I was that person.
I was just happy to like shake his hand and like, hey, I'm Martin. Nice to meet you, Steve. Hey, nice to meet you too.
Was he here recording?
He was at my old studio. He was a guest on a client's podcast, and I was like, internally, I was like, ah!
You're like, play it cool.
Yeah, you're cool. You're good. It's just another human being, but I loved watching this guy play.
That's his son.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But you meet so many amazing people that have done so much, and I've learned so much just by listening. And
I think we could all be better listeners.
Absolutely.
Me personally, that's something I'm working
Absolutely.
on.
But you hear the most common stories throughout everybody. It doesn't matter what level they are, you hear the same things. It's all about who you know. It's all, and people get so caught up in building their brand and their business that they end up losing their family.
Wow.
And then they're miserable. They have all these millions of dollars, and now they're trying to rebuild their family. And so I've tried to make it my mission is like, yes, it's taking me longer to build what I want to build, but my family isn't suffering. My kids see me more. My kids get to experience me as I'm trying to build this thing. You know what I mean? I know that a lot of times
you're not doing a bunch of night games or like, just flashing back when you were at the Suns.
Right.
That would take you away from your core, your family unit.
Yeah. And obviously, like, it's all about balance, really. That's what I'm learning as I'm hearing all these conversations. Balance is everything. Don't lose yourself while you're building what you want to build. Don't lose your family in the process. Really be honest with yourself on like the hierarchy of your family, like, or in your household. Like, all right, this is first, this is second, business here, spouse, or in my case, God, wife, kids, and then everything else. And so
hard work.
Yes. But
do you believe in like work smarter, not harder?
Absolutely. And
I'm fascinated by this. I'm asking.
I've realized that.
Okay.
That's so true. Work smarter, not harder, because you end up just burning yourself. You end up putting yourself at health risk, all these other things, right? Just by working harder.
I thought about doing podcasting in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I need sleep. I can't. Like, I was like, when Gabriel was fussy, I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to record? Like during the day that interrupt the sound. And I was like, maybe I wake up in the middle of the night and I start recording. And I was like, nope, this is not an option for me right now.
Yeah. And that's totally fine. Be completely honest with yourself, what you can and can't do. And it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. And
sometimes you just need a friend to tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, we should start an
accountability group, right?
Just to call.
Who wants to join?
I call my mom friends, and they're just like, and it's a lot of the same stressors that we have. We have newborns or this or that challenges, parenting styles, etc. But sometimes you just need that person to like kind of pump you up and be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just so simple. But I thought that's really inspiring, Martin. Your whole story, everything. I mean, I'm almost speechless, honestly, to hear that answer. So, well, I'm going to do my rapid 10.
Yeah, dude, let's hear them.
I don't even know if it's a rapid 10, but that is, by the way, I might need to fix this, but that's the most rewarding part for you. I want to put a bow on that. I just was like enthralled with I'm inspired. So, all right. So what did you want to be when you grew up? This is, okay. Reset, rapid fire questions. This is something I'm going to implement, and you're my guinea pig.
Yeah.
So, number 1, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A cop.
Really?
Yeah, shockingly, right?
Oh my goodness.
My dad was a cop.
Oh my goodness.
He used to be, yeah.
Okay. Who's your all-time favorite artist? Music, movies, visual art?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I will say right now from a music standpoint, I'm really into this group called The Midnight because they have this 80s vibe to them. And they were actually here in Phoenix last year in November. Amazing.
Did you go to the show?
Yes, amazing. I took my wife and she even had a blast.
Okay, we need to go. We want to go to more shows this year.
Yeah.
So
here at the Van Buren, right down the street.
That's my favorite venue.
I never been there, and it's actually a really nice venue.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You know who I saw there? The Googly dolls.
Oh, the Google dolls? Yeah.
Talk about a throwback.
Right.
All right. This we can always take this out, but do you have a celebrity crush, or even growing up? Because you're married.
This is gonna be weird. But when I was a kid, I really had a crush on Jessica Rabbit.
Who didn't?
Right.
Favorite emoji?
The 2 eyeballs. Yeah, that one. That's my favorite one.
What's one thing you're 100% you'll never do?
100% that I'll never do. Bungee jump.
Me neither. I concur. I heard it throws your back off. That looks awful.
I'm almost tempted to say skydiving, but I, for some reason, can see myself doing that, even though I'm terrified of heights.
I did it. I hated it.
Really?
I would never do it again.
Really?
Yeah.
You're the first person I ever heard say that.
I think I'm being honest. It's so, not to make it about me, this is your rapid, but the thing they don't tell you and you don't know till you do it is like you're so high above the earth. And if you have like a fear of heights, which I don't, but like you're up, you feel like you're going to fall. I had somebody on my back, but you're looking down and you feel like you're going to fall like to the ground above the earth. So I would never bungee jump either though. But you see people that love it.
Yeah, can't do it.
What's something that you thought would happen by now but hasn't?
I'd say probably have a much more advanced studio by now. And when I say advanced, I'd say like all the bells and whistles, like production room, photography room.
Like a one-stop shop?
A one-stop shop for everything. Amazing artists that we can create amazing content and brands together. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
Let's make it happen, Captain. I would love to try to help with that. That I think, especially with the podcast world growing as much as it is, and people delegate it. So, all right.
I guess we could say, let's work towards making amazing podcast shows.
Exactly, and more content for us. I'm into true crime, which I need to stop. I can't. Listen
I love that too, though.
I can't listen to it at night, but like low key. I'm like, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm having nightmares late. He's like, you got to stop with the true
My
crime.
wife is the same way. Like, if she watches anything scary or anything too dark on Netflix, she's like, no.
No, the dream, no. So if you could be a fly on the wall for one day, whose life would you watch? That's a tough one.
That is a tough
I
one.
might need to take that off the
because
list.
there's so many.
Sound
great-
off.
I think because I am just inspired. Do you know who Dave Filoni is?
No.
Dave Filoni has been George Lucas's. Do you know who George Lucas is?
Yes.
Okay. Dave Filoni has been George Lucas's like number 2 for like forever. And now he's being like in the most since the release of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, like his name was just like pow because he's the one that got the right people, the right stories. He's the one that's keeping Star Wars alive. And I would just love to be in like his mind in a way of knowing what is your thought process with these stories, with these animations. He did a lot of those Clone Wars and stuff like that. So just being around that, you know what I mean? Just mentality, right?
Yeah.
Because now he's an executive, high executive in the Star Wars Disney realm. So now you got Jon Favreau as well, but I love Jon Favreau. That's one person I hope that I can meet one day.
Fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And Vince Vaughn in the Swingers era, and he is. I didn't even realize until recently, like how much he's into, the Marvel scene. I didn't know. My husband explained it to me, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
He is so talented. All right, free trip to outer space. Are you in? Are you out?
I'll do it.
We better call your wife. What if she said you're not doing it?
Then, whatever wife he says.
Good answer. Husbands out there.
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you're like, but I'm going to outer space.
I'm still going.
I'm still going. Although those people have been trapped out there for a while.
There's people out there right now?
Yes, in outer space.
I'm so behind.
They're trapped. No, I just know because I listen to Dave Neal's podcast, and my friend does 2 podcasts.
So that question is tied to you might not come back?
Yes.
Okay, well, never mind.
Well, you could get stuck out there. They were like, they're fine.
They want to send people to Mars. A one-way trip. So they could see if they could build civilization over there.
I've heard that. Oh, we got to talk offline. And I'm just adding this now. Do you believe there's all this drone stuff, UFOs? Do you think that there's life outside of planet Earth? This is a big question.
This is a big question. This can get very deep, but for
Just
the sake of keeping it
fire.
simple, I think that these are entities. The Bible calls them. There's a story where there was fallen angels, right? Mm-hmm. And these fallen angels came to Earth along with Satan, and they slept with earthly women. That's how you got the Nephilim, which are like giants, like people that gave birth to essentially a new species of like a hybrid species of something that's spiritual, demon, and human, right? So I almost want to believe that they're just an extension of the Nephilim. Okay. We call them aliens, but they're probably because they come from both spiritual and earthly. I feel like they're probably an advanced species of hybrid human that are Nephilim. But
interesting.
But I don't think that they're like the little green men.
But what about these drones and stuff?
That's what I'm saying. But also,
I'm not gonna. This is your rapid. I'm not challenging it, but I believe.
But I also think the government is hiding things that we're just now.
Trump just announced on his first day of office he's going to talk about what they're not sharing with us with the drones.
Good, because
if anybody's going to sing like a canary,
and he's also releasing the John F. Kennedy report as well.
Well, stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, what do you do for fun? Do you watch reality TV? Like, do you have a binge? I know you're a parent but I binge shows. But what do you watch? Do you have
my guilty show right now, or was Selling Sunset?
Martin.
Or what's the other one? The one with the pods?
Oh, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
I like that one too.
Love is Blind.
Did you see the one where the girl's like, I look like Megan Fox? And it's not all about looks, but she got railed in the social media and stuff like that. Ugh, it's entertaining.
It's entertaining.
It's so good.
Yeah. But there's
It's
other
so
great
good.
shows too. But from a reality standpoint, I'd say Selling Sunset or Love is Blind.
God, there's so many great shows right now. Okay. I got to get into Selling Sunset.
I have a guest for you though.
Who?
He's local. His
Who?
name is James Keller.
Ooh.
There's a show that's out right now called 90 Day Fiance.
Yes.
He's one of the therapists on that show.
Yes, please.
They shot it here.
Can you put a good word in for me?
They shot it here at I think at the Omni at the Monte
I
Lucia.
love the
Monte Lucia.
Yeah, Monte Lucia. All I know is I love a staycation. By the way, didn't you? I mean, I know you can't talk about your guests and celebrity guests and stuff like that. I feel like you said you had a Bachelor contestant on, or that was in town.
Yes.
Was it Jason Tartick?
That's one.
You know, he has like a huge podcast right now.
Yeah. He interviewed Gronk.
Talk money to me. Who's that?
Rob Gronkowski.
Okay.
He's a Hall of Famer for the Patriots.
Wow.
If you see him, you'll know who he is. But he actually grew up with Gronk. He actually played for the U of A in college.
Oh.
But
okay.
Jason Tartick, he interviewed him when the Super Bowl was here like 8 years ago. Not 8 years ago.
Whenever it was here, it's been here a couple times.
Not the last time, but the last time.
Last time.
Yes, the last
I know
time.
what you mean.
That's how Jason, his team found us online on Google, and he brought in Gronk, which was a big thing. And and they interviewed each other. And
Was
it
he
great.
nice? Was Jason nice?
Yeah, he was really nice,
Okay, good.
actually.
I like to hear that.
It was really nice, actually.
Sometimes you hear people being a-holes, and I'm glad to hear that.
I always worry about that when you're meeting people, but both of them were really nice.
Good.
Gronk and Jason. So.
Well, if anybody's mean to you, call me. I'm also the villain, low key.
Low key.
I'm like, don't you mess with Martin. So what is your proudest moment to wrap this episode up? I'd love to have you back, but what is your proudest moment?
I think my proudest moment is just...
I mean, how can you just have one? But
I mean, I'll just kind of wrap it up in a nutshell, is the amazing people that I meet through here. And when they just reach out and say like, yo, like, that was great. Thank you so much. And they just give you like a heartfelt thank you. And now they become like a connect, you know what I mean? And that's the other thing about podcasting that people don't realize, especially with video, is people are more likely to say yes to a podcast interview than just a regular phone call interview or phone call conversation.
Really?
Because it's a win-win for everybody. They get content out of it. Especially if you come to like a really well-lit professional studio, they know that they're going to get great quality after that. But now it becomes a connect, especially if you guys hit it off right away.
yeah.
Then that guest now becomes almost like a friend and a connect for you down the road, because then they will connect you with somebody else or vice versa. And then all of a sudden it'll lead to some type of business together or like working together in some capacity.
Or connection. I mean, even just friendship.
Yes.
And that's what I think, personally, I think we all need more of. We're all glued to our phones. We're all, fast, and the next thing. And that's something I'm longing for, is more connection. And
I'd say that's the accomplishment for me, is just be able to connect with all these amazing people and still be able to like talk to them like if we're friends, you know?
yeah. And knowing that they're appreciative, and
Yeah.
hopefully people are.
Yeah.
Because you always want an equal transaction, equal exchange,
Absolutely.
you know? Well, Martin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Where can everybody follow along, or they can reach out to you if they want to start a podcast? Highly recommend it. You're pretty big on social media, but let's make sure we spread the good word.
Yeah. Yeah. You can follow my personal brand _ Marty Flowers.
Love that.
My goal is to completely, like, instead of just being behind the camera, really be in front of the camera, this year and really put myself out there more and teach and educate people on the technical side of podcasting or video, anything really. And then you can find us, my business, Amplify Studio. So theamplifystudio.com. Anything podcast related, even if you have already shot podcasts or content and you need somebody to edit all that and piece everything together, we can do all that in-house for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, came to the right place.
Yep. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys. It's time to end it.
Yeah.
I'm like starstruck right now. Hello. I'm not used to being on camera. I get a little camera shy. All right, guys, that's our show. Until next time, I'm your host, Courtney Robertson, and this has been After Reality.